our intelligence for serving Krishna. And if you think that we are the doers, if you think I am the sole doer, that is the illusion. But we are the doers. And what we can do well, for that our talent and our temperament comes into the picture. And while we are doing our part, we do it responsibly, but what is beyond us, we leave it to Krishna, considering that as destiny. Now, in this second part, I'll focus on how the three modes shape our perception of things and how they shape our planning. Generally, these three modes of material nature refer to three broad ways in which we look at the world and we act in the world. When we interact with the world, there are three broad. We take in information from the world. That is perception. Then we contemplate and then we act. So we could say, in terms of action and contemplation, in the mode of goodness, there is first contemplation, then action. So I think, okay, should I do this, should I not do this? Then I do it. In the mode of passion, there is first action and then contemplation. I do it, I shouldn't have done that. Some people speak to express their thoughts, and some people speak to discover their thoughts. I didn't need to say that. How many of you have experience of slip of tongue? So actually, slip of tongue is, anytime it's embarrassing, but especially if you are giving a class and there is a slip of tongue, it can be mortifying sometimes. So in the mode of passion, we speak before we think. So in the mode of ignorance, there is neither contemplation nor action. There is simply delusion. There is simply delusion. Delusion means we just don't think at all. So just like, say, somebody sees the fire breaks out in the movie theater. Some people just run to the nearest exit, and often that causes a stampede, and that causes more injury than the fire itself. So that is action before contemplation. Some people just get petrified. Fire! Just don't do anything. Just they are horrified. So neither action nor contemplation, there's paralysis. Oh, this fire will burn me, this will happen, that will happen. They just can't do anything. And some people think, okay, there's fire, there's a fire extinguisher there. Let me go there and let me extinguish the fire. So action before contemplation. Put another way, some people make things happen. They think, plan, and they get things to happen. Some people watch things happen. They start one thing, but then they're not thought about this one thing leads to that consequence, that unwanted result, that result. Just things become very complicated. Some people make things happen, some people watch things happen, and some people wonder what happened. So this third category is in the mode of ignorance. They're just caught in their own delusions. So with respect to these three modes, when I talk about action, contemplation and delusion, this is based on 14.11, 12 and 13 in the Gita. In 14.11, Krishna says, Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidya viruddham sattvam ityuta. That viruddham sattva, that when sattva is there, prakasha, illumination. We know what to do, what not to do, what to speak, what not to speak. Whereas in mode of passion, there is pravritti. I have to do it. Lobha pravrittirarambha karmanam shamaspruha jasyetani jayante viruddhe bharatarshava. I have to act. There is an irrepressible urge to act without even thinking properly. I have to do things. And in the mode of ignorance, aprakasho apravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante viruddhe kurunandana. There is neither prakash, that means no contemplation, nor pravritti, no action. There is moha, simply illusion. Now, how does this reflect, these three modes, how do they reflect in our planning? When we are, with respect to perceiving the world, in the mode of passion, we overestimate our capacity to control things. And in the mode of ignorance, we underestimate our capacity to control things. Sometimes we make plans and then, morning 5 o'clock I'll wake up and I'll do this. And then 6 o'clock I'll do this, 6:30 I'll do this, 7 o'clock I'll do this, 7:30 I'll do this. And then we spend 30 minutes planning the whole day. And then after that, and 5 o'clock we want to wake up, but then we wake up at 6 o'clock. And we're so angry with ourselves that after that we don't even look at the plan. Sometimes I see that I plan thoroughly and then I plan the week and then I look at the plan for the week at the end of the week. Because you just get so caught in things. So what happens here is that when we are in the mode of passion, we think everything has to go my way. And we just make it this, everything has to work. So we overestimate our capacity to control. Because life, we want things to go our way, but frequently life comes in the way. Something emergency comes up, this happens, that happens. And we have to be flexible. But when we try to micro control or micro plan and it doesn't work, then we go to the other extreme and say planning never works. Just stop planning. Whatever works, whatever happens will happen. We go to the other extreme. Plans never work, so don't plan only. So to try to plan and control everything is in the mode of passion, where we are overestimating our capacity to control. To think that nothing works and to stop planning, to not try any plans at all, that is in the mode of ignorance, where we understand that, where we think that nothing is in my control. Actually, the reality is some things are in our control and some things are out of our control. So with respect to planning, many times in life plans don't work, but planning works. Plans refer to specific. I'll do this. That may not work, but planning means it gives us an overall sense of direction and orientation. These are the 5 things I need to do. I'll try to do it this way, but if I can't do it this way, then I'll find out some other way to do it. So if we get an overall sense of direction, this is important, this is important, this is important, and other things, if I get time, I'll do it. So that way, when we things that are important for us, we make sure that they get done, and other things, if they don't work out, we're ready to accept that. So in the mode of passion and ignorance, in the mode of passion, we overestimate the importance of everything. Like everything has to work out the way I want. And in the mode of ignorance, we just go into the other side and nothing works out, so I don't care for anything. So both ways, it leads to problems. So Krishna said, Yukta ahara viharasya, be regulated. Natya ashnatastu yogosti na chaikanta manashnataha. Na chati swapnashilasya jagruto naivacha Arjuna. Krishna says, one who eats too much or eats too little. One who sleeps too much or sleeps too little. Such a person cannot become a yogi. So basically Krishna is talking not just about eating and sleeping, he is talking about the principle over here. That in general, too much or too little of anything will be a problem. So just as it applies to food and sleep, it also applies to planning. Now, for some people, a certain amount of planning is vital, without which they just can't function. And for some people, planning itself becomes a burden. So just like food, now we all have our different appetites. And some people may just eat 3 chapatis, some people may eat 6 chapatis. So the point is not how much you eat, but how much energy one has to do things. So each person will have, by their individual body's nature, an individual amount of appetite. And accordingly, they need to eat that much so that they can function vibrantly. So similarly, some of us are more organized than others. And by nature, we need organization. We need planning. But some of us may not be that organized. And too much organization, some people are more spontaneous. Come on, let's do this, let's do that. And if you try to put them into too much of a structure, they feel choked. But some people are more organized. If there's no structure, they feel chaotic. What am I to do here? But even people who are spontaneous, they also need some amount of organization. But the specific quantity will be different. So here, we have to find out how much level of planning works for us. So at least a broad sense of direction is required. Without that, we will just be at the mercy of the world and the mercy of the mind. That means if in general, say if somebody tells, some relative or some friend says, come on, I'm having a party today, let's go. Now we may not want to go, but if we have nothing else pressing to do, it becomes difficult to, what do I say, how do I say no? But if we already have, I have a program in the temple today, or I have this thing to do, that's why I can't come. So saying no to anything is always a little challenging. It's a little painful to say no to anything. But saying no to something becomes easier when we have already said yes to something more important. So, if I already have an engagement, then I can say, okay, no, I can't come because of this. So, similarly, for us, the world keeps proposing, come on, do this, do that. And the mind also keeps proposing, come on, do this, do that. So, if we don't have an overall plan for our life in terms of how we are going to serve Krishna, then we become completely dependent on the whims of the world and the mind. And it becomes difficult to say no to whatever the world or the mind is saying, because at that time, whatever else is there, it doesn't come in the mind. It's not there. It's there. We know it is important, but maybe we can do it later. So, if we don't make a plan for our life, the mind is going to make a plan for our life. And the mind's plan is not going to be for our good. The mind's plan is usually, sometimes the mind can act as our friend, but most often the mind acts like an enemy. So that's why having a broad sense of direction at least is important. The specific detail of the planning, that may vary depending on what a person is doing. Some people who are more creative, more organized, more artistic, they may decide that, okay, I don't want so much structure. But that's fine. Some people who are more into management or getting teamwork, coordination, they may need much more planning. But even people who are creative, they also need a certain amount of structure. There's a Nobel laureate author, British author, Somerset Maugham. He was asked, he's a writer, so do you write when you are inspired? Do you write daily or do you write only when you are inspired? He said, I write only when I am inspired, and I make sure that inspiration arrives every morning at 10 o'clock. So, now what this means is that for a writer, you can't control what the output will come. One of my main services is writing. So writing, some devotees, one devotee told me, your service is very wonderful, Just sit all day in an AC room in front of a computer. We go out, we distribute books, we go into the heat, we go here, we talk with so many people. I said, yes, maybe you can try my service for a few days. It's not that everybody feels their service is difficult. One author says, writing is very easy. All that you have to do is sit in front of a computer and glare at the screen till drops of blood form on your forehead. Sometimes a person is come down to write and no ideas come. It's called as a writer's block. Just nothing comes. What am I supposed to write? But then the idea is, if a writer just decides to wait, whenever I get the inspiration to write, I'll write, then they'll write very little. Just write whatever comes in. Just have some structure. And some days the writing will be good, some days the writing will be bad. Some days the writing will be great, some days the writing will be just something which you don't care for at all. But the consistency will gradually give rise to quality. In the writing it is said that you can edit a bad page, but you can't edit a blank page. If something is written, it's not good. I can edit and make it better, but if there's nothing, what can I do after that? So similarly, even people who are more artistic and spontaneous, now they also need some structure to move forwards. So I have been writing on the Gita every day for the last 6-7 years. I have a website called Gita Daily. So I started it 7 years ago. At that time I was in a hospital. I had a fracture and I was told that you cannot travel now. So I didn't want to die of boredom. So I started writing something. Now since I started that, somehow by Krishna's mercy, every day I am able to write that. For 7 years it's going on. But that has fit into the mind as a commitment. You have to do this. But there are so many books that I had planned. I'll write this book, I'll write on this topic, I'll write on that topic. But it is like I have a dreams list. That dreams list is growing, but nothing else is coming out. So I found because it's become fit into mind. This is a daily thing you have to do. But a book, whenever I get time, I'll write it. And whenever I get time means I never get time. It becomes like that. So even in writing, which is quite an inspiration based or creative based activity, some structure is helpful. Similarly for us, we have to find out what level of structure and planning works best for us. But saying that I'll not plan at all because I'm spontaneous, actually that is not spontaneity. That will just simply make us end up succumbing to the mode of ignorance, succumbing to whatever the mind says, do this, don't do this. There is definitely room for spontaneity, no doubt. But along with that, structure is also required. The exact balance of structure and spontaneity will vary from person to person. Right. Just like it is said, Kshatriyas are more of the organizers. Brahmanas are more of, they just share knowledge. If people come and hear, well and good. If people don't come and hear, that's also well and good. They are detached. Now, a Brahmana's wisdom will not benefit people unless there is a Kshatriya to channel and organize. A Brahmana is just, okay, I'll speak, if people come, good. If people don't come, what to do? When Prabhupada once met actually when Prabhupada came to America, one of Prabhupada's disciples was telling me that at that same time there was a spiritual teacher who lived in the Himalayas. So he was quite a well-known spiritual teacher, but he never came out of the Himalayas, Rishikesh or something. So he became famous because some of his disciples came to the West. Some of his eminent people from the West became his disciples also. So then one reporter from Times went to this person and he said, "No, you have so much wisdom, why don't you come to the Western world and share it?" He said, if people need water, people come to the river doesn't come to the people. If those who want wisdom, they'll come to me. So now that is one way of looking at things. Prabhupada's mood was the mood of Jagannath. People don't come to the temple, the Lord goes out to them. So Prabhupada came to America. Prabhupada went far and wide. So Prabhupada said that we need Brahmanas with a Kshatriya spirit. We need Brahmanas with a Kshatriya spirit. If we are only Brahmanical, then we will just delight in our knowledge. But we will not really be concerned about the audience. The knowledge is meant to be spoken so that audiences are benefited. And then we need organization so that the people can come, people can participate, people can benefit. Sometimes some devotees are very scholarly, very erudite, very intellectual, and it's good. But sometimes they speak in such a way that nobody understands what they're speaking. Now they may say that, oh, this knowledge is so profound, I'm speaking this knowledge. Yes, that's true. You're doing justice to the knowledge, but you're not doing justice to the audience. There has to be balance for both. Actually, I was in this first category for a long time. I'm trying to come to the second category, where I would love to speak on abstract, complex concepts. And I would delight in that. But the audience would be, as one devotee who told me once, he said, attending your class means like doing a 1 hour intellectual workout. So now I try to make sure that what I speak, it's not just what I delight in, but also what can connect with the audience. So if somebody is just too Brahmanical, then they're not concerned about organizing structures in the world. Their thoughts are organized, but about the world, let it go. So we need, especially if we want to share spirituality in today's world, organization is very much required, and that's planning. So in the mode of goodness, we realistically estimate how much is in our control and how much is beyond our control, and based on that we function. And at different times, different quantity of maybe in our control and different quantity may be out of our control. When we are planning for serving Krishna, at that time, or when we are planning our lives, our whole life is meant to be a service to Krishna. So we are planning our job, we are planning our careers, we are planning where I should have a home, where I should stay. So should we just depend on Krishna, that Krishna will take care of everything? Or should I use my intelligence to plan? Like some of our temples are in cities in prime locations. So I know one devotee, he said that I want to stay right next to the temple, but there it is very expensive. So he said, it's my sincere desire to stay next to the temple. So he, in order to get a house next to the temple, he took a huge loan. And then after he took a huge loan, he got the house near the temple. But now he has to take 2 jobs just to pay off the loan. He's next to the temple, but he's not able to go to the temple. So then he's staying a little further away, would have been better. Or sometimes we may think that we may use dependence on Krishna as an excuse for not planning properly. And that is not dependence on Krishna, that is simply evasion of responsibility. When I started giving classes in our movement for the first time, maybe 25 years ago, at that time, one senior devotee gave me some guidelines for speaking, and that in public. And the last guideline was depend on Krishna, but in bracket, depend on Krishna, but only after you have prepared. So that means if I am giving a class, and even if the class is about dependence on Krishna, but to speak about dependence on Krishna, I have to use my independence properly to prepare for the class. If I just say I depend on Krishna and I don't prepare, then that is not dependence, that is irresponsibility. So Krishna has given us intelligence, and we are meant to use our intelligence in His service. Sometimes in Bhakti the question comes up, do we surrender our intelligence to Krishna, or do we surrender with intelligence to Krishna? Do we surrender our intelligence? Krishna, whatever you tell, I'll do. Surrender our intelligence to Krishna. Or do we surrender with intelligence? We use our intelligence about how to surrender. Now if we see the Bhagavad Gita is a call to Arjuna's intelligence. Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita does Krishna tell Arjuna, I am God, you have to obey me. Krishna says that if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. Machitta sarvadurgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. Atachettam ahankaran na shroshyasi vinamshyasi. That if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all obstacles. If you don't become conscious of me, if you act out of ego, you will be lost. This is 18.58 in the Gita. And after giving such choices and their consequences, then in 18.63 Krishna tells Arjuna, now Vimrishai tata sheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Now deliberate deeply and then do as you desire. So Krishna is appealing to Arjuna's intelligence. And Srila Prabhupada also, he would present philosophy in a way that people could understand using their intelligence. So our intelligence is also a gift from Krishna. And we are meant to use whatever Krishna has given us. If somebody has got a lot of wealth, then the wealth is, at one level the wealth could be Maya, but the wealth can also be used in Krishna's service. They may use it by directly giving a donation to temple, or they may use it by having their home where they can have programs, having a big home, having a facility where they can host guests. They can use that wealth in various ways. But if somebody has wealth, they should use it in Krishna's service. Similarly, somebody has intelligence, they should use it in Krishna's service. And all of us have intelligence. Some of us intelligence in terms of we may have more or less. We are talking intelligence not here simply in terms of say memorizing verses or doing some information processing. We are talking about intelligence primarily in terms of decision making. Okay, what is the right course of action? What is not the right course of action? What is the beneficial course of action? What is the unbeneficial course of action? So for this, if we don't plan properly, then we will end up not being able to serve Krishna effectively. If somebody doesn't prepare for a class properly, then they will not be able to give the best class. Brahmanand Prabhu was telling me once that once he asked Prabhupada that how should we feel after we give a class. So Prabhupada said, you should feel, I forgot to quote this verse. I could have spoken that point. You should always be looking for room for improvement. So if I think, and I sit on the Vyasasana, I become an instrument for Krishna. Let Krishna speak whatever he wants through me. Yes, Krishna will speak, but the point is, there is so much my own self-centeredness and ego that is there, that is not going to magically go away. So I have to use my initiative and energy in Krishna's service. So with respect to classes, we can easily understand the importance of planning. That if you need to plan. Similarly, with respect to if somebody is building a big temple. Now at one level, actually I was at one place where in America where they are building a huge temple. And they have a small congregation. So some of the devotees are apprehensive that we should build a big temple. That if we build some devotees are saying very gung ho, we should build a big temple for Krishna. And others were saying, no, who's going to maintain this? We don't have the devotees to maintain it. We don't have the finances to maintain it. Even if somehow we raise the finances for building the temple, but what about maintaining it? So one devotee says, Prabhupada said we should shoot the rhino. Of course, now, again, I said about contextualization. Now, rhino is an endangered species. So, you cannot use the word shoot the rhino. So, I think Gurudas Prabhu has written that book. So, he calls it chasing rhinos. Sorry. Shyam Sundar Prabhu, sorry, not Gurudas Prabhu. Shyam Sundar Prabhu says chasing rhinos. So, we have to be sensitive. Anyway, so I just met Giriraj Maharaj in Carpentaria, and I was talking about this with him. So he was saying that was Prabhupada talked about chasing rhinos or catching rhinos with respect to organizing the Pandal program in Mumbai. It is a one-time event. If it works out, wonderful. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. But he said when Prabhupada had the Vrindavan temple being built, he wanted to have the MBT as a guest house, and from the guest house the revenues would go on for maintaining the temple. So in the traditional culture we say that the Brahmanas lived on charity. Yes, Brahmanas lived on charity, but charity is very unpredictable. And in the past many Brahmanas would be Grahasthas also. So how would they maintain themselves? So the idea was that the charity that would be given was not just money. The kings or wealthy people would give land to the deities. And a lot of land around the temple would belong to the deities. And then whatever was cultivated on the land, that would be offered to the deities, and a part of it would be given to the cultivators, the employees, but a major part of it was used also by the priests and their families. So the charity there was planning in that charity also. You cannot just depend on charity, one day it may come, another it may not come. So he was saying that when I think about, Giriraj Maharaj was saying, when I think about Prabhupada, I don't think that shooting the rhino or chasing the rhino, that is not a prominent quotation that comes in my mind. Because one time Prabhupada used it. So Prabhupada wanted the Krishna consciousness movement to be in a sustainable way. Yes, we want to do big things for Krishna, but while doing big things for Krishna also, we have to use our intelligence. So if we start off doing Prabhupada said sometimes to his followers, don't make me like Alexander. Alexander conquered the world, but after he conquered the world, generals whom he left to take care of those forts, they were all defeated. And when he came back, he had to fight again the war to conquer all those places. So he said he wanted things to be maintained properly. So in general, creation is more exciting than maintenance. See, creation is in the mode of passion. Maintenance is in the mode of goodness. So start a new project, start a new program, do this. That's more exciting. But maintaining requires goodness. And especially because most of us are in the mode of passion. We live in a culture which is in the mode of passion, and we ourselves have a significant amount of passion. So doing new things, that's very exciting. And this of course applies to material life also. Oh, I want to get a better house. I want to get this thing. I want to get thing. So there was one devotee who was telling me that, I pray to Krishna. He said that, I want to earn a particular amount of money. The day I earn that much money, after that, I'll give not just 50%, I'll give 51% to Krishna. But till then, he's not giving even 1%. So now, charity is not just an activity. Charity is meant to be a mentality. It's meant to be an attitude. It's not just an action. That means whatever I earn, it's not mine. It's actually Krishna. So I should give a part of it to Krishna. So if I equate charity only with an action, I'll do it in the future. Actually, what will happen is, in trying to get that much money, I'll become more and more materially conscious. I'll become more and more passionate. And even when I get that much money, I'll think, I need to take care of this, I need to take care of that, I need to take care of that. And that will never happen. So basically, we need to, we have this mode of passion which will make us want to do big things, whether materially or spiritually. But the mode of goodness brings a sense of balance. Okay, this is realistic, this is not realistic. And in the mode of goodness, there is proper perception of things. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. In general, for the sustenance of anything, whether it is our family life, whether it is our job, whether it is our spiritual life, we need to have a certain level of goodness. Bhakti can be started in any mood. Even a person who is drunk can come on the roads, and devotees are doing kirtan, they may start dancing in kirtans. And sometimes these drunks may dance so exuberantly, I feel actually they are experiencing more ecstasy than me. That is just occasional. They may experience that at that time. But for them to have a transformational experience, they cannot have that as long as they are in the mode of ignorance. They have to come to the mode of goodness, that things can be practiced sustainably. So I'm connecting planning with sustainability in the sense that what is sustainable will depend on whether we are planning it or not. If I don't plan properly, then I may do one thing in a big way today. That's mode of passion. I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to do this in the best possible way. Not just the best possible for me, I want to be the best among everyone else. But if I don't, then why do it only? It's like I want to fast Nirjal on Ekadashi. Then I try, I feel so tormented. Can't fast. Then I take 10 items after that. So okay, I couldn't fast. Okay, let me take some fruits. Be okay. So when we are in the mode of passion, we just want to control everything. And if we can't, just give up everything. So in bhakti also this may happen. We take bhakti very seriously at one time, and just give it up. I can't, this is just not practical. Well, it is not that bhakti is not practical. It is the way we were practicing bhakti may not be practical. So if we cultivate the mode of goodness, then it becomes practical, it becomes sustainable. Now for having this sustainable practice of bhakti, we need to have our own intelligence, and we need to have others' intelligence. Others' intelligence are spiritual masters, are spiritual guides. So our mind will always be going through ups and downs. Sometimes I feel like doing it, sometimes I don't feel like doing it. It just very much depends on the modes. Prabhupada said that when he came to America, he said, Rajas tamo gune era sabai achana. That all people are covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. So mode of passion and ignorance means that in the mode of passion, there is immediate action. And mode of this is frustration, just quit, give it up. So we see this in relationships also in today's world. Two people, a man and woman get attracted to each other, and if they are ready to fight against the whole world, I can't live without him, I can't live without her. They fight against the whole world, and maybe they come together, and then after 1 year, I can't live with you. So I can't live without you, I can't live with you. So what has happened? Everything was driven too much by externals. In the mode of passion, we want to form a new family, we want to have a new life. And then when it doesn't work, so creation is characteristic of the mode of passion. Destruction is the characteristic of the mode of ignorance. Sustenance requires goodness. So forming a relationship is easy, ending a relationship is also not very difficult. But sustaining a relationship, it requires goodness. So when the modes of passion and ignorance are very strong, then relationships are formed very easily and relationships are terminated also easily. One of the top 10 fears of people in the 20th century, there are some fears which have been common throughout many centuries, but two fears have emerged in the 21st century. One is the fear of terrorists, and the second is the fear of rejection. When people form relationships, they feel, what if I am rejected in the relationship? So again, there's a lack of goodness over here. So it is goodness which will enable us to sustain things. And sustainability means that we plan, okay, this is what I can do now, but can I do it regularly? And okay, I'm not able to do this right now. Does that mean I'll never be able to do it? No, in life, we have to be fixed in purpose, but flexible in practice. So like say, if we are going to a temple for a program, there's a lot of traffic, and then we'll not be able to move much fast. But after traffic clears, again we can start moving faster. So similarly, sometimes we may have decided to do one thing, but then our life becomes too crowded. We want to practice bhakti seriously, but this comes up, that comes up, that comes up. Our life becomes crowded, at the time we may go slowly. But afterwards, it's not that in our life crises are there all the time. Problems will be there, but crisis is, okay, when it goes, then we can move forwards. But if we are in the mode of passion, I have to move at this pace only. I have to do this. And if I can't do it, so if there's too much traffic, I think, why go to the temple only? I'll not go for the program. Just turn around and go back. So not like that. Sustainable. Sometimes we say we should be consistent in our bhakti. Sometimes it's just not possible to be consistent, in the sense that life just causes so much ups and downs. So even if we can't be consistent, we can be resilient. Consistent means doing the same thing at the same level regularly. Resilient means, okay, sometimes life will push me down, but then again I'll get up. Again I'll move on. So these ups and downs are there and we can't avoid them. So what is a realistic level by which I can practice sustainably? And within that, sometimes there will be ups, sometimes there will be downs. So when we plan our life properly, then we can practice bhakti lifelong. Prabhupada wrote a letter to one of his disciples. This devotee had been doing a lot of services and then his health had got spoiled. So Prabhupada said, if you don't take care of your health now, in future, even if you are enthusiastic, you will not be able to serve Krishna. So, what happens? When we say, I want to do a lot of service. Now, whether that desire to do a lot of service is because of my transcendental attraction towards Krishna or because of my passionate desire that everybody think I am such a wonderful devotee. We don't know. So, in passion, we may overwork our body and then afterwards the body may become unworkable. So, sustainable means what can I do in a steady way in the long haul. So this is planning in the mode of goodness. Now as devotees, we also want to be in transcendence. So I'll conclude with that point and then we can have a few questions. That what does it mean to surrender to Krishna? Like I talked about surrender with intelligence or surrender of intelligence. So till now I talked about surrender with intelligence. Use the intelligence to plan how best we can surrender to Krishna. But there are times when surrender of intelligence is also required. We just don't know what to do. I had planned it like this, A, B, C, but nothing seems to be working. What should I do, Krishna, now? So intelligence at one level means to know what to do when we don't know what to do. To know what to do when we don't know what to do. Now how can we know that? If you see in 2.6 in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, I don't know what to do. Na chaitad vidmaha kataranno gariyo yadva jayema yadivano jayeyo yaneva hatvana jiji vishamas te avastita pramukhe dhartarashtra. Should I fight? Should I not fight? I just don't know. But then what does he do? He surrenders to Krishna. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava puchhami tvam dharma sammudha cheta. Arjuna, please tell me what is my... Arjuna says, Krishna, please tell me what is my dharma? What am I meant to do? So sometimes, despite our best planning, we'll come to a situation where we just don't know what to do. So at that time, we just surrender to Krishna. Krishna, you please guide me. Prabhupada says in a purport that a devotee may be perplexed, but a devotee is never discouraged. Perplexed means I don't know what to do. Discouraged means I don't feel like doing anything. So just life will bring us to a situation. Should I take up this job or that job? Should I take initiation from this guru or that guru? Should I associate with this temple or that temple? Should I marry this person or that person? Should I do this or should I do that? Sometimes life will be very perplexing. And at that time, we may have done all our planning, all our analysis, but nothing is working. So at that time, just Krishna, please guide me. How can I serve you? Just surrender to Krishna. So surrender to Krishna means at that time, just do what we can. If we don't know what to do, then what can we do? Ultimately, we are servants of Krishna. Specifically, how we serve Krishna, I don't know at this time. So Prabhupada's mood was when he came to America, he said that Nachao, Nachao Prabhu, Nachao se mate, Kashtera Puttali Jata Nachao se mate. Right. Just as this is a puppet dance, puppeteer makes a puppet dance, oh Lord, make me dance, make me dance. So what does this mean? Prabhupada was determined to serve Krishna, but how exactly am I going to do it? Krishna, you please guide me. So at that time, rather than thinking, oh, should I do this or should I do that? We do what we know we should be doing. Now, whether I am going to take initiation from this spiritual master or that spiritual master, whether I am going to take this job or that job, whether I am going to take this house, that house, whether I am going to, whatever I am going to do, ultimately there, I am going to serve Krishna. I am going to chant Hare Krishna. I am going to study Shastra. I am going to associate with devotees. So let me not stop doing that because of this decision, because of the inability to make this decision. Sometimes what happens, we have some issue in our material life or in our overall life, which we are unable to figure out. And that consumes our mind so much that we stop practicing bhakti. Unless I fix this, I can't practice my bhakti. Yes, some issues do need urgent attention. But many times, dealing with issues doesn't just require our time. We actually need to think clearly. And if we are not thinking clearly, the more time we spend on the issue, the more confused we become. How many of you have this experience that sometimes when you think about something, before thinking, you are confused, but after thinking, you are even more confused? And I find this happens most when I've not done anything spiritual, I'm not in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion or the mode of ignorance. The more we think, the more things seem to have become worse. So, yes, sometimes some problems need attention, but we also have to think whether I am capable of giving them the due attention right now. So as I said, attention in the mode of ignorance or attention in the mode of passion is different from attention in the mode of goodness. So attention, is that a reminder for me to finish? So attention in the mode of ignorance simply makes us feel more worried, more confused, more irritated. It just doesn't help at all. So at that time, I don't know what to do, I'm confused about this, let me try to do that which will get me to goodness, which will get me towards transcendence. So if we do that, then slowly clarity will emerge. By just trying to make sure that we clear our mind, by connecting with Krishna, by reading scriptures, by chanting the holy names, by taking darshan. There is an inner fog. Sometimes if there is a fog, then even if we drive, we don't know whether we are driving in the right direction or not. So we'll be driving and we're going further. So at that time we decide, let me stop, let fog clear, then I will move forwards. So just as there can be a physical fog, there can be a mental fog also. Just nothing seems to be clear. And the more we try to do things, it simply makes things more complicated. So then, with respect to natural fog, there's very little we can do to clear it. But with respect to the mental fog, we can take shelter of Krishna. And that can clear the mental fog. And once the mental fog becomes clear, then after that, what is to be done becomes, even if it doesn't become crystal clear, okay, at least, this option, these are the positives, these are the negatives. That way, we can evaluate better. So sometimes we may want to have the full path clear. This is the path I am going to take. So this is the path I want to take, that I surrender with intelligence, I use my intelligence. But sometimes, it just, power goes off. I have a whole path, but I can't see anything. Now if power goes off, at that time what do? We may just initially curse the darkness, we moan, we may groan. But afterwards, we will take out our mobile, turn on the flashlight. And now the flashlight does not replace the street light. But the flashlight will show one step ahead. Okay, I can take this one step forward. And then after that, okay, the flashlight will show me one step forward. So that when life just throws a curved ball to us, when just things go wrong, everything seems to be collapsing. It's like power off. I had my whole plan for my life, but everything seems to be disrupted. At that time, our service attitude is like our flashlight. Our service attitude, Krishna, how can I serve you? Krishna, please, I want to serve you. When Prabhupada was asked, what is the best prayer we can offer to Krishna? Prabhupada said, please pray to Krishna, please give me the strength to serve you. So that service attitude will act like the flashlight. Okay, I wanted to do this, but this is not working, that is not working. But still, I am a servant of Krishna. How can I serve Krishna? Let me take one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. And as we keep taking one step forward, gradually, we'll cover a significant distance and eventually the lights will come back. So there are times when we just surrender the intelligence. Krishna, I don't know what to do. But I don't know what to do specifically in this situation, but generically I know I'm meant to serve you. So I'll just keep serving you, and as the path emerges, I'll move forwards. So that's how sometimes we normally do plan as a service to Krishna. But even in planning, our attachment is to Krishna, not to the plan. We plan, and the planning, normally we plan, when we plan something, that indicates that we take it seriously. If it's an important meeting, we'll plan, okay, I'm going to speak this. If it's a casual meeting, let's see how the discussion goes in this chit-chat. So planning indicates seriousness. So if you're taking our service to Krishna seriously, our relationship with Krishna seriously, then we're planning in it. But then also, we want planning so that we can serve Krishna and we can become devoted to Krishna. So as long as planning is a path to Krishna, we use it. But when planning becomes a competitor to Krishna, that means when the this plan is not working, that starts consuming our consciousness so much that there is no consciousness available for Krishna. At that time, the planning or the plan, whichever it is, that starts becoming a competitor to Krishna. And then, step back, Krishna, this was my plan, but it's not working, please guide me, how can I serve you? So we plan as a service to Krishna, and sometimes we just take hands off our plan as a service to Krishna. When we have this attitude, that our planning is also done in service to Krishna, then our attachment to Krishna is greater than our attachment to our plans. And then, if the plan doesn't work out, Krishna, you please guide me what I can do. And then Krishna will reveal that he has a better plan for us. That may come out later, that may come out immediately, but that will come out in its own plan. It is said that we look at the present and plan the future. Krishna looks at the future and plans the present. We look at the present, okay, this. But Krishna looks at the future and then he plans the present. So if we are traveling along a particular road, I say, this road is so clear, let me go ahead. But that road is clear, because it's a dead end. And nobody is going over there. That's why everybody is going by some other road. This road is so clear, let me go there. But there is a warning over it, don't go on this road. Say, no, it's so clear, let me go. But the traffic authorities have to put the signal, don't go over there. Because there may be a ditch over there, there may be an accident over there, there might be some big danger over there. So they put the signal over here. We are just looking right now, I can go fast from here. But those who know the traffic situation, they know, okay, this road may be clear, but it's a big blockage, there will be danger over there. So we don't know what the future holds. So rather than just being too attached to our plans and getting frustrated why our plan doesn't work, say Krishna must be having some plan. So let me surrender to Krishna. That means let me just do what I can. And when we talk about surrender, the Bhakti tradition talks about surrender in a very dynamic way also. Surrender, sometimes you say, it means raise your hands and surrender to Krishna. But at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, surrender to me. And Arjuna's surrender is not by raising his hands. Arjuna's surrender is by raising his bow in readiness to fight. So similarly, if we see the Bhagavad Gita, the 6 elements of surrender, first 2 are very dynamic. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjana. Accept that which is favorable and avoid that which is unfavorable. Or sometimes thinking about the big picture, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, and then I'll do this. Thinking out the big picture is favorable to our bhakti. And sometimes when everything is bewildering, thinking about the big picture is not very favorable. So then just think of the small picture. Take one step, take one step, take one step. So when we act in this way, then gradually if we maintain our faith through the situations when our intelligence can't make sense of things, then gradually Krishna will reveal the bigger sense of things. Krishna will reveal, now this was why this happened. This was why this was happening. Sometimes it may happen in 6 months, sometimes it may happen, it will be revealed in 6 years, sometimes it may take 60 years. But Krishna has a plan. So we use our intelligence to plan and to serve Krishna accordingly, but the intelligence doesn't work. So it is said that faith, sometimes people think faith and reason are opposite. But actually, for a devotee, faith and intelligence both point in the same direction. Faith goes in the direction that intelligence goes, but faith goes beyond where the intelligence goes. So by my intelligence I can understand this. But sometimes the intelligence can't make sense of things. Then faith takes us further. Faith takes us to where the intelligence can't see. So when there is an inner fog, the intelligence can't see through. But the faith will help us to keep moving forwards. And then eventually we will learn what was the purpose. We've got Prabhupada's life when he was distributing back to Godhead on the streets of India, a cow came and hit him, just knocked down. And whatever he was trying in India, it was just not working. But Prabhupada persevered. Now, Prabhupada said that when he came to America, I had a vision. There are many temples and many devotees filling the temples. But yes, Prabhupada had that vision, but is it that everything Prabhupada had planned out, here I'll go and I'll meet this person, here I'll go and meet that person? No, Prabhupada, just whatever opportunity Krishna gave, Prabhupada accepted that. And Prabhupada was very determined, but at the same time he was very resourceful. He said he was very resilient. If this didn't work out, try this. If this didn't work out, try this. And at the end, Prabhupada was blessed by Krishna to do something which has not been done in the history of the world. Just in the last 10 years of his life, built 108 temples, wrote 70 books, wrote over, he inspired thousands and thousands of people to become devotees. Normally when we make our plans, when one plan works, then we want to make a second plan. Say like a small child is there, child asks them, what do you want to do in your life? I want to become the president of America. I want to become the most powerful person in the world. And then they grow up, okay, maybe I want to become the wealthiest person in my city. They further grow up. By the time they come out, they have big dreams, and life beats us up. By the time they graduate, if I get a job, it will be good. So what happens to us is we have big dreams and big plans, but as life beats us, they start becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. Just want to scrape through life. With respect to Prabhupada, he was trying so many things. Tried this, nothing worked. And then when nothing was working, he said, I want to go to America. And now this was a hugely courageous thing to do. Sumti Moraji, she was going to, Prabhupada approached her for getting the land, getting the passage on the ship. She said, my secretaries are told that Swamiji, you will die over there. And you can't survive America. I said, Swamiji, America, you are so old and America is so cold. Sorry? Canada now. I'm in Canada now, but Prabhupada came to America. Yeah, thank you. So, now, but Prabhupada was determined at that time. So, Prabhupada, he just kept persevering through it all. And eventually, Krishna revealed a wonderful plan. So, it is that Krishna has his own plan. And sometimes that plan... So, my point was that Prabhupada, because he was not attached to his plans, even when 10 plans didn't work out, that did not stop him from dreaming bigger for Krishna. Normally we dream big and then start dreaming smaller and smaller and smaller. Something should work out. But Prabhupada's attachment was to Krishna. One didn't work, second didn't work, third didn't work, fourth didn't work, fifth. And finally, such a big plan. I'll go to America and make Americans into devotees. And I'll get them to India. I'll get Western people to India. So, and eventually Krishna made that work. So, in Bhakti, we have the example of Srila Prabhupada's dynamism. There is this dependence on Krishna and there is diligence for Krishna. When things are in our control, whatever we can do, we do it diligently. If the lights are not there, I keep my flashlight very carefully to make sure that the next step, I take it right. I am diligent for Krishna for the things that are in my control. And for things that are not in my control, I am dependent on Krishna. So surrender has both these elements, dependence and diligence. When Prabhupada could do things well, he trained his devotees, he wrote books, he gave guidelines about how to manage the temples. He did things very diligently. But when he was going to America, I just didn't know what he was going to meet, what he was going to encounter. So Prabhupada was dependent on Krishna. So this mood of diligence and dependence, both are together components of the dance of devotion. Bhakti is a dance for Krishna's pleasure. And this dance, sometimes we have this, we dance bend one way, bend another way, we'll be dancing. So like that, sometimes we bend towards dependence, Krishna, you guide me. And sometimes we bend towards diligence. Now a devotee's mood is that in both cases, Krishna is doing it. Even when I am dependent on Krishna, it's Krishna who will take care of things. Even when I am diligent for Krishna, it is Krishna who is giving me the ability to be diligent. If I am preparing for a class diligently, it is Krishna who is giving me the intelligence. If I am planning my service carefully, it's Krishna who is giving me the diligence, the ability to do that. So when we see that even what we are doing, planning for Krishna's service, if we do it in the mood of devotion, then that planning as well as the result of that planning, whether it comes according to our way we plan or not the way we plan, both will take us closer to Krishna. Both will ultimately help us to attain Krishna. So I'll summarize. I spoke about planning in Krishna's service. I talked about the modes. In goodness, there's action, first contemplation then action. In passion, there's first action then contemplation. In ignorance, there is neither action nor contemplation, there is delusion. So, with respect to planning, in ignorance, we underestimate our capacity to control things. In passion, we overestimate our capacity. In goodness, we realistically understand what is our capacity. And this means that when we are practicing bhakti, at that time, should we surrender our intelligence or surrender with intelligence? Normally we are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and if at that time we surrender our intelligence, then actually we are not going to go to transcendence. We simply stay caught in passion and ignorance. If we don't plan our life, we we take too expensive a house, or we work too hard and spoil our health, then that we will not be able to sustain it. So intelligence, which comes from the mode of goodness, helps us to develop sustainability in our bhakti. And sustainable bhakti is what will help us to move forward steadily in our life. We use our intelligence in a mode of service to Krishna. That means when we plan, we try to micro plan, that is mode of passion. We just give up planning, that is mode of ignorance. In the mode of goodness, there is more planning than plans. Planning uses overall sense of direction. And even if plans don't work, we can do course correction and move onwards. So planning indicates seriousness. So we discuss elaborately about how we should be responsible and use our intelligence to plan our service properly for Krishna. A Brahmana's goodness will not benefit people much unless there is Kshatriya organization. So Prabhupada said we need Brahmanas with a Kshatriya spirit. And beyond that, sometimes with our best intelligence, things may not work out. So things we just, it's like we plan the whole path of our life and it suddenly power goes off. And at that time, we surrender our intelligence. We may not know specifically what to do, but what we can do is, we can raise our consciousness from passion or ignorance towards goodness and transcendence by internally connecting with Krishna. By studying, by that, the inner fog will decrease and thus we will move forwards. So, the service attitude, Krishna, how can I serve you? That question is like the flashlight, which will show us one step forward, one step forward. Sometimes seeing the big picture is favorable to our bhakti, and we see the big picture at that time and plan. But sometimes the big picture is just not visible. You just focus on the small details, small steps, and do that which is favorable. So bhakti has this dance of this dynamic dance, sometimes dependence on Krishna, sometimes diligence for Krishna. So normally in the routine course of our life we surrender with intelligence. But when things seem to go wrong, at that time we surrender our intelligence. And when as far as our plans can see, we use the plans to guide our bhakti. So reason shows the way towards Krishna, but when reason stops showing the way, then faith shows the way. We understand that we look at the present and plan the future, but Krishna is looking at the future and planning the present. Therefore, let me just surrender to Krishna. And that surrender can be both through diligence for the things that are in our control, dependence for the things that are not in our control. If we plan but don't become attached to our plans, if we see plans as a way to Krishna, then if the plan becomes a competitor to Krishna, then we put aside the plan and just serve Krishna the best that we can in that situation. That way we will be using our intelligence in Krishna's service, but we won't let the intelligence come in the way when it doesn't show the way to Krishna. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So do we have some time for questions? Yes. Are there any questions? Okay. Somebody who is not asked till now? Yeah. We'll come back to you.
Krishna, how can we elevate oneself from the mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness? So, does he has to elevate first to mode of passion and then he can go to the mode of goodness?
Okay, how do we elevate ourselves from ignorance to goodness? Does it have to be through passion? Yes, I would say that we all go through these different modes at different times. So right now we are discussing philosophy. It requires some amount of goodness to discuss philosophy. Otherwise I just feel too restless. I have to go here, go there, do that. How long will this class go? So we all are in goodness sometimes, we are in passion sometimes, in ignorance sometimes. So we can't suddenly change our prominent mode to goodness. That will take time, that will require purification. And as I said, from passion, from ignorance we may have to go to passion, then we'll come to goodness. But what we can do is, even now when we are going through different modes, we can make sure that our major decisions we take when we are in goodness. So even if my life is not always in goodness, I can make sure that my important life decisions are taken when I am in goodness. We ourselves can make out. Sometimes we are more reflective, sometimes we are just apathetic, sometimes we are just impassioned to do things. So that phases when we are relatively more reflective, that is the time we make our major decisions in life. And if we are consistently practicing bhakti, then we will eventually come to goodness and go beyond goodness also. So now we just have to make sure that we keep practicing bhakti consistently. Is it that somebody from ignorance has to come to passion? Now what do we actually mean by that? Somebody lethargic, they just start doing a lot of services, start doing something? Yes. It's like sometimes people say that get out of your head. Get out of your head means this. Get out of your head, do something. Do something practical. So when we are in the mode of ignorance, we are so caught in our head, but nothing productive is coming out of the head. Just caught inside. So at that time, get out of your head. Just do something practical. Start doing something. Don't just. So that means if you are too caught in the head, then we need to get out and start doing something. That's how we will come from ignorance to passion. But sometimes when we are too caught in the heat of things, then we need to get out of the world and go inwards towards ourselves. So sometimes engagement is the way to raise ourselves. Just too caught in the head, engage yourself, do something practical that will stop the mind's wild flow. But sometimes the mind is, too many things are happening, the mind is going here, there, then we have to retreat and then we have to calm ourselves down. That means from passion we come to goodness. So sometimes action is the way that will elevate us. Sometimes withdrawal is the way that will elevate us. So basically we can say the mind has a train of thoughts that is going. And quite often this train of thought goes in unwanted directions. So we need to interrupt that train of thoughts. So if we are just too caught in the destructive train of thoughts in our head, this may go wrong, that may go wrong, that may go wrong. Stop worrying, start doing something now. Start, okay, what if this exam, this happens, this happens, this happens. Start studying right now, we'll take care of things in the future. So get out of the head. That's how we rise from ignorance to passion. But sometimes we are doing 10 things and our mind is thinking of 50 things. What about this, what about that, what about that? And calm down. Take a few deep breaths, read about Shastra. Come to goodness and plan what is more important, what is less important. And then start doing things. Okay? Thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
You said surrender means to have service attitude. And whilst in a situation where nothing works, where is the question of service attitude?
When nothing is working.
So nothing is working with your own life.
That's fine.
Your mind is.
Okay, when nothing is working with our own life, how can we have service attitude? A service attitude should not be necessarily equated with particular forms of service. Service attitude means basically, Krishna, I am your servant. That's our defining identity. I am going to act as a servant. So yes, okay, my job is not working out, my family is not working out, my health is not working out. I may not be able to go to temple and do services at that time. But I can have an attitude of service. That means, okay, now what can I do? Instead of complaining, instead of moaning, okay, if I can't do much, let me hear some Krishna Katha. At least that will calm me down. So that is all that I can do, that is all I need to do at that time. So service, maybe it's not necessary that service attitude necessarily means that we have to do something practical. Sometimes doing some practical also helps. Because as I said, problems are solved not just by the amount of time that we give, but by the amount of clarity that we bring to it. Sometimes going out of a particular situation, okay, my life is a mess, and I just go somewhere else, I go to temple, do some service, go to some retreat, that calms me down. And then I return and I can deal with the situation better. So if we use devotion as a means for running away from our life, that could be a problem. But if you use devotion as life has its challenges, I need some spiritual rejuvenation. When I get that, I clear my inner fog, and then I can come and deal with these issues better. So we have to find out that how best can I become in a better frame of mind, in a better consciousness to deal with the situation. See, ultimately, we are our most foundational resource. Even for us to take shelter of Krishna, it is we who have to take shelter. Even if the spiritual master is there, it is we, following the spiritual master's instruction is something which we have to do. So in a sense, we have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the things that we are responsible for. So sometimes connecting with Krishna is the best way we take care of ourselves. And then we can do other things at that time. The service attitude basically means we situate ourselves in the defining identity. I am a servant of Krishna and I am going to serve Krishna. How exactly I can do that in my situation? That is something which will require reflection. Okay? Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Shambhu. Thanks for the class. So my question is based on one of the points you made about how it's important to plan what you want to offer for Krishna, how you want to mold your lifestyle to serve Krishna. So my question is, each individual has, specific nature or just the way they function. So how important is it to do a service that is oriented with your nature, or is it just important to do a service that is needful or that's important in a particular scenario? Because you might feel more content doing something that's oriented with your nature, but it may not necessarily be
what is required. I understand. So does planning mean that we try to do the service which is according to our nature, or do we do what is needed? For long-term sustainability in bhakti, it is best that we serve according to our nature. But that does not mean immediately we will say that I won't do this, I won't do that. Actually, we need to serve according to our nature. But what is our nature? That is not so easy to understand. It also requires a certain amount of goodness to perceive that. If we are in the mode of passion and ignorance, and then if we ask ourselves, what is my nature? The mind will reply, whatever you are doing right now, that is not your nature. So that way, the mind will make us dissatisfied and the mind will make us half-hearted in doing what we are doing. So rather than thinking, I will only serve according to my nature, we can think that I need to come to goodness to understand what my nature is. So let me do whatever service is required right now in a mood of surrender. And gradually, by that I will become purified and I learn what is my nature. So from the individual's perspective, we do whatever service we are told to do, but at the same time we observe ourselves. Hey, this is something which I am good at. This is something which I feel good also while doing it. When Krishna says, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, according to quality and according to activity. My understanding is this quality means internally we feel satisfied by doing it. We are internally comfortable doing it because that's our quality. And karma refers to external competence. So we feel good doing it, that's comfort, and we are good at doing it, that's competence. So whatever we have, there is comfort and competence in doing, that is broadly speaking our nature. Now, while doing our various services, we observe that, and gradually we can try to gravitate towards that. And this is from the individual's perspective. Individual does whatever service they are told, but gradually try to take towards the according to one's nature. As far as the institution or the leaders of the community are concerned, their goal also should be not just to get things done. That's required, no doubt, but they also need to know that ultimately the devotee has to be inspired to serve Krishna lifelong. And devotees will be inspired when they are serving according to nature. So over a period of time, devotees need to be facilitated so that they can serve according to the nature. And as the years pass by, as we observe ourselves more and more, it will slowly become clearer for us. This is what I'm good at doing, this is what I feel good doing. not feel good in the sentimental sense, but feel good in the sense of inner harmony, then that's what we can gravitate towards over a period of time. Okay? Thank you. Yes, I think last question. Here.
When we invest our time and like energy into something so deeply and sincerely doesn't give us the result or what we were thinking, how do we not get depressed or like completely, like demoralized? And how do we not let it completely take over ourselves? Like how do we, like you were saying, detach yourself from...
Okay. If you invested ourselves deeply in something and it doesn't work out, how can we avoid becoming depressed? Emotional wounds are also real and they can't be wished away. Say if I have got a fracture in my hand, then I can't lift, say, a weight with that hand. It's a little ginger, I have to be a little careful with it at that time. So similarly, when things don't go according to our plans, we feel hurt, whether it's a project, a relationship, a particular service, those hurts are for real. And detachment doesn't mean denying or trivializing the hurts. Detachment means that we don't get consumed by the hurt. Just this is a wound that is there, but I am not this wound. There is much more to me than this, and I acknowledge this wound is there, but I can move on in my life. Sometimes life causes pain, and that pain may just stay for some time. It may not go away. So even when we have to live with pain, we don't have to live in pain. Live with pain means pain is our companion. It's there. Say, I got a backache, it's there. I can't wish it away. But live in pain means that pain is what consumes my consciousness. I don't think about anything else. Even when the back is not paining, I am thinking, oh, it will start paining again. And why is this happening to me? Others are so healthy. Why am I like this? So basically, when life hurts us, we need to acknowledge that I am hurt over there. And we may need to have some close friends, close devotees with whom we can share our pain. So after that, it's one thing that, okay, the wound is like, say, if my hand is fractured, I don't put weight on it. But over a period of time, I need to slowly start exercising it so that it will recover. Otherwise, it will never recover. So like that, when some bad things have happened to us, there will be some amount of grieving that is required, and maybe healthy also, to accept that wound and to move forwards. If a soldier is wounded, you can't expect them to start fighting immediately. They need some time to recover. But if they just stay bedridden throughout the remaining battle and never fight, that's also not, they have to recover. So basically, for some time after a bad thing has happened, that thing will dominate our consciousness. But after a period of time, it's like if you consider the mind to be like an inner screen on which that bad thing that has happened, that keeps replaying. Now if we keep wallowing in it, there is grief and there is lamentation. Grief is a natural way of processing loss, processing distress. Lamentation is an unnatural obsession with the negative. So when the Pandavas, it said in the Bhagavatam, the first canto, after the Kurukshetra war got over, the Pandavas performed the last rites of all the deceased warriors and they grieved. In the Ramayana described that after Dashrath passed away, there was a national period of grieving, of mourning in the kingdom. So grieving is just natural and necessary for healing. In our devotee community, if somebody passes away, then we have a condolence meeting, a memorial service where we talk about that devotee. And then that's required for healing. So we could say grieving is in the mode of goodness, where we process that event and then we gradually heal from it. We can't deny it. But lamenting means we just stay caught in that event again and again and again. Yes, the replay just keeps going on and on and on and on. And we don't do anything to focus our consciousness elsewhere. Like if after some time, the wound is recovering, I need to start resuming my activities. So initially that bad thing that is happening, I'll just keep replaying. And we in a mature way process it, do the replay, talk with some senior devotees, talk with friends, share our burden of our heart, and gradually it will decrease. Then after that, if it keeps replaying, you can envision our mind to be like a big screen with many windows open on it. So sometimes we are working on one window, but another window pops up. Now when the window pops up, sometimes some pop-ups are so insistent that if normally say there's a software update, do you want to install the software? Normally it is yes, no, or later. And say the normal option will be, the default will be no. In some software the default is yes. And not only it is yes, in some software it is like within 10 seconds, if you don't go to no, it will start installing. So for us, some of the mind's pop-ups are like that. They pop up, and unless we consciously turn away from them, they'll start. It is one window that pops up, and then within a few moments, the window starts a movie over there, and the movie consumes our consciousness. So at that time, in the inner screen, when the mind pops up something, there is no cross button by which you can minimize it. But what we can do is we can drag it aside. Okay, this is what I focus on. So whatever we give our attention to, that grows bigger in our consciousness. So to that distressful situation that is there, if we give our attention, it will grow bigger and bigger. But if we focus on something more constructive, so then here it's important that devotion, it's more a direction than a destination. That means it's not that anybody can say, "No, I have become a pure devotee," and that's all. Even pure devotees are serving Krishna. So sometimes in our life we may plan, I want to get to this destination, but it may just not work. Say we want to go to a we want to go in a particular direction, and we want to see a particular mountain which is on the way. But sometimes the road is so jammed over there, we can't go to the mountain. There is another way by which you can keep going in that direction. So we make various plans, we invest ourselves in doing certain things. That is like wanting to go to a particular destination. But ultimately our direction is we want to go towards Krishna. So okay, if I couldn't go to this destination, but still I'll keep moving on in this direction. So if we look in our life and say, okay, ask ourselves, what really matters for me? No, this is so important for me. Okay, I wanted to make this relationship, I want to have this career, I wanted to have this particular service. But what is it really matters to me? Okay, but this service would have given me some security. It would give me some position. What really matters to me? Okay, in that position, I would have felt happier. But what really matters to me? Okay, I would have felt happy. But why do I want to feel some security, some satisfaction, so that I can practice bhakti more effectively. Okay, that I can do right now. So sometimes when we face a severe loss in our life, we have to look at what was it that truly mattered to us. What really matters for me? Now I can't have this, but why did I want this? And so if we go that way, sometimes say, oh, I wanted this job so that I would have financial security, so that I could practice bhakti peacefully. Well, okay, that's true. I don't have that job. I'll have to get some other job. But as far as practicing bhakti, I can do that even now. So if we go deeper to what really matters to us, then we'll find that the path is always there. Many times in our life, certain specific markers that we have set on the path, we may not get them. But that doesn't mean the path is closed. So at that time we need to go deeper, asking ourselves, what is it really that really matters for me? And we can find some other way to get that. Okay. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for